Hey guys, welcome tonight. I don't know, we've been doing this for about a year. This is What is the Ask, and it's four friends coming together, two in Atlanta, two here in Tampa. And we're talking about issues that are important to Black folks before this upcoming election on November 5th, 2024. One of the things that we noticed is that we go to the polls and we vote, and we don't vote with any real intention. So we thought if we discussed the issues and shared it with the public, perhaps we can start coming together and figuring out how Black folks could be more strategic. So tonight I'm here with Mona Judge, right here in Tampa. Mona is a local entrepreneur here, and she will be sharing from an entrepreneurial perspective. And then we have our two guys in Atlanta, Albert and Alten from Atlanta. I had to go with the triple A thing, guys.
Caught
She's
that.
getting poetic in her old age.
I caught that.
Did I hear you say old age?
In
See,
your old age, as you
Oh, okay.
approach your old
Oh,
age.
um, approach. Okay, I can go with that. But so we have differing perspectives, and we're just going to talk about them with you guys tonight. Well, tonight, oh, Martin Luther King Day was yesterday. I am interested in hearing how you guys celebrated it, and I have some thoughts on the MLK Day and how it's become commercialized or co-opted by others. And we're kind of losing a message, or was there supposed to be a message in the first place? So I'm going to start with you, Albert, because I know you had to have done something really exciting with NAACP yesterday.
Yeah, I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning preparing for a parade. You know, our branch, NAACP DeKalb, puts on a parade every year.
Yeah.
And this is the 22nd annual Martin Luther King Day parade. And we stay in our community and we start and we end up at Martin Luther King High School. And one of the highlights that is very subtle that's thrown in there, the last person in the parade is always the garbage truck. And so it's symbolic, of course, of how he got killed in Memphis and why he was there in the first place, helping to support the garbage men who were on strike at that particular time.
Oh,
So,
how
yeah, so we've been doing that for a while. And in fact, we even had to tell a few people about that. Somebody was asking, I said, well, do you know why the garbage truck is at the back of the parade? And they said to pick up the garbage with all the stuff that people are throwing out. And I went through the process of giving them the history, Mr. History Man that I am.
Yes.
And so I said, symbols are very important. And that's why that's an important symbol that's always at the back of the parade to help promote this idea of he died for a cause, he died for a reason, and that reason is still with us today.
And it's
So,
it's so interesting because I don't connect the garbage truck, the fact that he was going down there for that reason. But that's important. And I think in this MLK Day, we're missing the real symbols that we should be paying attention to. But yeah, that's important. Hey Mona, what did you do?
well, actually, unfortunately, it's the first year in many, many years I didn't do anything that weekend. I had my mother,
Mm.
and so I missed the bus tour on Saturday. I missed the festival.
I did not see you on that bus tour, which is very unusual.
I know, and I usually host one of the buses, but my mom, and Monday, I tried to get her up for the parade. It was a little too cold, and she just didn't want to do it. So I stayed home. But I was going to ask Albert something because, at the end of our Martin Luther King parade is the
Mhm.
garbage truck as well. So I
I
didn't
did
know
not
that.
know that.
But I always thought it was there really, as he said, to
Hmm.
start cleaning up.
That's what I
And
was
no,
going to say.
no,
so
that's
that's really interesting. We have it all the parades like that, and then we should really be telling the people. I think we really, you know, failing the crowd, the people on the whole thing.
Right.
Um, even like the breakfast, I like to go to the breakfast, but I'm like, yeah, no big deal if I miss it.
Okay, so I didn't do anything either, and I usually go to the parade and or the breakfast. And I really don't do the breakfast, but I did it at least in the last couple of years. I at least did it, and I was thinking about it this yesterday morning, but then I said no, I don't really feel like doing it because I will get mad looking at all those corporate tables
Sure,
and all those white officials.
sure.
And that will really tee me off. And then if I hear another speech that doesn't really get to the real nitty gritty issues
Yes,
of
yes.
MLK and before he died, that will tee me off as well. So I decided I'm gonna hold off on that invitation and not attend. So I didn't do that. I didn't do the parade either because I just stayed home and
And
just
we know that we're pretty much bully them into supporting it because they go by to work on Tuesdays and say what? Screw you, MFs.
yeah. But
Mostly,
I
mostly
don't even know if we're
Democrats.
bullying them. I think
We
it's
bully them. We
attitude.
bully them. We pressure them into buying corporate um, tables because they don't hardly even want to come. Half of those tables be empty. They
Right.
just buy, and they got nobody to send, and those tables be empty.
Well,
That's called
what
buying your way. I call that buying the way in heaven, into heaven.
what
They
does
can
that mean
they can pay
exactly?
that money
Yeah.
and buy those tickets and then say, okay. And typically what they used to do in the old days was they turn around to the black employees and say, hey, there's
Yes.
a black event going on. Do you want to go to the black event?
Yes.
Nowadays, they just buy the table because it helps to sponsor the thing and then they get their name in the sponsor. And that goes against their uh, numbers and their opportunity for the year to claim what they have done in the community. So
Right.
this whole thing is turning into a big PR event for a lot of the corporations, and
But what
Yes.
does it
that's
do?
why I still say you got to watch who you take the money from. It's all too dangerous now.
But
But shoot, God is now spelled GOLD, so it's going to be whoever pays the bucks is who I'm going with.
right, but if in ACP or here the TOBA group, um what is it that we're getting out of it though? Having these corporate tables. We're getting the money, but then what are we giving back? Are we being more silent about things? Are we taming the speeches? Are we truly using this as an opportunity to gather to move an agenda forward, or are we just laying quiet because
Okay,
we don't
so
want to lose those corporate tables?
let me ask it this way: who talked about Palestine at the Martin Luther King breakfast this
Not
year?
not one, not
Yep,
one,
Because we know
not
not one.
not one, because most
one
of their money is
peeping
coming from the
soul.
Jewish people. So,
Right.
so
Not
not
one peeping soul talked about that. The hottest thing going. And
yeah,
I missed an opportunity. I did a speech about 10, 15 years ago where I said, what would Martin do? And it was after America invaded Iran. And I did a whole speech to a group at that table. And you should have seen the look on their face. Now people are afraid to go up against the
Yeah.
Z people because the Z people will actually come at you direct and hurt you. But you can't find them because they have bought their way into our lives and we can't get them out
Oh
because
my
we're
God.
used to, if you're used to driving Mercedes, Rolls Royce, and Bentley, and I tell you to go buy a Volkswagen, you might get offended now, as opposed to saying that might be the best opportunity
mhm.
for making some things happen.
let's
In,
let's
yeah,
spread.
to give
Right.
you an example, in St. Louis, Better Family Life, there used to be a organization there that every year they would give the Kwanzaa celebration. Great event, started in the community college, and it got bigger and bigger and went downtown to the big place, bigger and bigger. It got corporate and got to the point where the regular folks couldn't really afford it.
Right.
But at one point, they hit a wall. And then they would wind up going back to the community college, which I applauded them because on one hand, I applauded them because I thought, yeah, that's where you started. That's where we should have stayed. On the other hand, I realized what had happened was corporations probably said, screw you this year, and that's the reality that we run into if we get so deep into corporate money that
To-
we rely on them for our livelihood
Right.
that we die.
Yeah. I think we're too reliant on them for our livelihood.
Yeah. You got to be willing to live off of your own land, and not theirs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something that my father used to say when we was growing up. You guys have to live off the income we make, meaning him and my mother, because we might ask for something. He says, no, no, no. And we would always say, oh, we'll ask my grandmother. And my grandmother, at the time could afford to get it to us. And but he didn't like that. He said we had to live off the income he makes.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And yes,
Yeah.
and I never understood. You don't understand these things till you have your kids. And I remember telling my daughter similar. She wanted some kind of gaming system. I just didn't want to buy it. I could have bought it, but I thought 300. And she says, "Oh, I asked Auntie Tracy," and I said, "No,
Right.
it's not about the money, but it's about where you have control. We
Right.
Because he would have had control of that household. He had control of the household. My grandmother started putting her money in. What she's gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? A lot of these churches are strapped today. They're caught into a political quagmire because they initially started taking money when they figured out they became a 501c3
Mm-hmm.
that they could then get money from the government. So they began taking money from government, especially under the last Bush, baby Bush. They
Right.
started taking that money, but along with it in the fine print was if you get too political, we can revoke your 501c3.
Well, why do white churches get very political? Most Republican, Christian, white churches are very political. They're out there, their leaders are out there, and they're not afraid. So why are we?
Because
Because
they are political for the right people.
mhm.
We could be political for the
Because we
wrong
black.
people.
We
Yeah,
black.
yeah.
But we're being political for the Democratic Party. They're not going to protect them.
I repeat, if you say the wrong thing, for instance, right now, people are on Biden like crazy. They are all over him about ignoring, oh no, selling the idea in America that they are feeling sorry for Gaza while at the same time providing bombs for Israel.
Yeah. It's
You see,
cognitive
you
dissonance.
see that's a contradiction in term, you would think, except that is typically the American way. You go back to any conflict in the world that America participated in, and they're good at selling you the idea of peace, love, and harmony while at the same time making money off those wars.
Well,
And so,
I
I don't
found
know.
I found a clip on CNN back in, I think it was 1992, when I started researching AIPAC, where Biden was getting money from them and supporting AIPAC back then, and Israel, and saying that Gaza had to go. Israel was the rightful owners of the land.
Yeah.
Biden is still saying that. Biden is
I
still
would
saying
say,
that.
but
He
I
started
don't
out
know
saying
why
it.
Biden is saying it, but that is Biden's position, and it has been for a really long time. But before we get too far off, Alton, you got some thoughts on this?
On what? MLK Day?
MLK Day. What
Well,
did
I
you
had
do?
I had the good fortune of being here for the very, very, very first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had the good fortune of making that the very, very last one.
Mm.
So
Say what
yeah,
you mean, Alton.
yeah. See what I mean? I may have done one breakfast 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
If I see a parade, is by pure accident, I just turn down the wrong street.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't do anything on MLK Day. As a matter of fact, I gladly worked, which I've done every day, every MLK Day for Lord knows 30 odd years. So
Yeah.
I figure going to Albert's sanitation workers, and I agree wholeheartedly, people forget that's why he was there,
Yeah.
and it was indicative of his turnaround of the maturing of his views as to the plight of Black Americans, and that is tied to economics. So I celebrate that by doing some, even if I work for somebody and the office is closed, I'm doing some kind of work. So no, I don't go out and do all that. So that's how I usually celebrate it.
Yeah, somebody shared, and it's one of my favorite speeches of Martin Luther King, the one where he pretty much calls them out for the land that white folks were given.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a brilliant speech, and it's one that we're not sharing. So if you're going to play something like that at one of these breakfasts, I'm
Mhm.
coming. I'm coming, because now we're talking about, now we're sharing with the white folk what the problem is. And the way that it is now, we're just pretending that all we wanted was our little Black boys and Black girls to hold hands,
Right.
and there's something wrong with that. But if we could change what we're doing with this day, what would that be? Anybody got any thoughts? What would we get rid of the breakfasts, we'd get rid of the parades, and we'd get rid of the day of service? And what needs to happen on this day? Or do we even need the day?
Yeah, well, I mean, whether we got the day or not, it's what we do with the day, I think, and how we construct what we want to do. If it means that we get out and we say, okay, we're going to march and we're going to at least burn down one business to remind you we haven't reached our goal. And I'm exaggerating here, of course.
Yeah.
I would never advocate just because, hold up, since we are being recorded, let me be clear. I would never advocate that, but I'm saying there has to be some direct action in mind to say, here was the reason this man died.
Mhm.
And now we're going to remind you of that until you decide that it is time for us to move in a direction that will help us all.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
I agree. I think we can still do the parade. I do like it. But leading up to it, we need to have workshops. We need to have an agenda, a uniform agenda that everybody is going by, a Black agenda, right? And this would be, say, the 15th, that Monday.
Mhm.
Everybody all over the United States are having these for the breakfast, giving us our agenda, our marching order for the year.
Yeah.
Leading up to it. So coming up to the next year, we get our marching order. Coming up to the next year, we can mark off, did we get this done? Did we get this done? And then see where we're going to go for the next year. Because to me, and then they're so long. They just they're just getting to be long. I want to probably hear the speaker and then leave.
State of the Union. How about the State of the
Yeah,
Union?
I hear-
That would be what we would give, the state
Yes,
of our union.
State of
yes,
Black
yes.
America.
Yeah,
Something.
yeah, state
Something,
of Black
something like
America.
that.
Yeah, we could do
Yeah.
something like that.
Doesn't the NAACP do something
The
of,
Urban League does that.
is it,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
it's the Urban League, okay.
yeah, but yeah, to Albert's point, I think it's time for a new issue of that statement. They're bought and paid for too.
Sure.
Yeah, nowadays, like I said, you can look all up and down their chain, and you can look up at all of their donors and all of their big things. I was disappointed
Mm-hmm.
that the NAACP now has kind of gone Hollywood with their awards that they give every year. I
Mm.
thought it sent the wrong message. I think they've upscaled their activity. It's more on the line that it is friendly for the media and not friendly for us.
Yeah.
Once again, going back to my buddies in St. Louis, they got a little bit away from how they started, and now they've gone to the high level, having all of these big affairs out in Hollywood, putting together all these different programs.
Mhm.
And I can remember they have a contest where you submit your media for different events and things that you have done. And this branch here put together a very excellent video on the number of enslaved Black folks that were killed here in DeKalb County.
Uh-huh.
Excellent. People got together and they really worked hard for that. And then when I submitted it and I saw who we were up against ABC, we were up against Prime TV, we were up against you name them. What's that other one? Netflix. We were up against people that were on those stations. I said, there's no way in the world that we could compete with those guys. And
Right.
they're the ones who won the prize. And I was disappointed that they didn't have them and then the rest of us baby producers and directors who had a message based upon what was happening in our own areas. So that's the part that I have a problem with.
So are you suggesting that they create an additional category that catches those sort of independent type of
I'm
effort?
spotlighting the difference of how they have moved
Yeah,
from the apartments and the houses that we used to live in our neighborhood. Now they have moved to the suburbs, or as Jefferson says, they're moving on up.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
to the apartments in the sky. You know, he has a doorman and a bellman now, and it's starting to look that
Gotcha.
way.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so I'm saying scale it back and let's rethink what it was about us that kept all of the community involved.
Yeah,
That's what's important,
I
I
agree
think.
with you. I think sort of a getting back to the grassroots and allowing the real people, Black
Right.
folks, to engage.
Right.
I think that needs to happen across the board. That's what I'm seeing when I say the commercialization of the day is just makes me really want to kind of puke when I'm in the midst and watching everybody shaking hands and whatever else. And when I go on Facebook and I'm watching all the pictures of everybody posing together with the officials,
Mm.
it's crazy.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
a crazy day that's
And
waiting.
particularly now, because it's election year, right?
Oh, yeah. They were out in full
Yeah,
force.
skinning
Yes.
and grinning.
And then they use our likeness, and then you call them up and say, "Hey, I didn't authorize this. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." But now it's too late.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, if you stood there with the mayor and took a picture, because I've got several pictures with the mayor that I find on the internet. So if I took the picture, I could bet that that picture is going to be
Sure,
posted somewhere.
but
And
maybe the mayor.
that's not
So,
me having to authorize it. It's just how
but I'm
that.
saying when they use it in they ads to run, particularly candidates that haven't ran for office, they need to be able to relate to Black people,
Mhm.
saying that they know or they're friendly with these people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. So, did you all see Trump and put a whooping last night in the Iowa caucusing, and he's today claiming victory all over the place and saying that Americans just need to all come together. And it's like, it was the Iowa caucus. It was 100,000 people, give or take. You can't think that this is the rest of the country, but I think the man is deluding himself to believe that
Mhm.
that's how the rest of the country is going to work.
Well, in all fairness to him, I know that sounds weird.
Fairness to
The,
Trump.
I was
mm,
gonna say the same
the,
word, so go ahead, Alton. I'm getting ready to go
Okay.
the
yeah.
same route.
the,
Go.
the Iowa caucus has been played up as that's where you start, and that is your springboard
Mhm.
yes,
for the rest of the election. It's been played up, especially by the political media and candidates, as that place where you spring from for the past going on 50 years.
Mm,
So
mhm.
if it was any other Republican or if there was a regular Democratic caucus this year, the winner would have done the same thing. It's off to, Bobby Kennedy did the same shit when he won in California. It's off now to Chicago, and let's win it. Every candidate does that. is, you know, Trump is going to do, and I'm not defending him, but
Well,
it's the right, it's the right move. Yeah,
You're
that's what
absolutely right. And I'm remembering, and I forgot his name. His name will come to me, but it's the one that was saying, and to the whatever, and to the, and he went, yo, you remember
Oh
that?
yeah, Dean. Yeah, Howard Dean.
Yes, Howard
2004.
Dean.
Yeah, you
Howard
know.
Dean really kind of demonstrated exactly what happens when you win
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
well,
know,
as Iowa goes, they're the Midwest. They're supposed to be the model for America. And as
Yeah.
the Midwest goes, supposedly that's the way the world goes.
yeah,
Right.
well,
Biden is the first one
But
who
Biden
upset
did-
that
Yeah, Biden
when
didn't
he
win
ran.
Iowa.
Well,
No,
hold up. Think about this. He not only didn't win there, he didn't win most of the places until he got to
Right.
in North Carolina.
South Carolina. Was it
South
South Carolina?
South
I think it
Carolina.
was.
it
South
was
Carolina.
South Carolina
Yeah, he got to
because there
South
was
Carolina.
some manipulations in the background that allowed that.
Doggone right.
Sure.
Yeah. See, that's the part that they don't tell you about when they talk about democracy. A lot of things goes on behind the
Right.
behind the back. And they either show some pictures to some candidates to say, we got you on film, so you better go on and give it up, or they did something else and paid some people off. But either way,
He played off Clyburn.
yeah, Clyburn came out, gave him an extra boost. Well, even with that though, that still was a question as to whether or not, what's the guy's name? The liberal guy,
Bernie.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders still could have gone forward with enough votes, but they coerced him to leave the race.
Right.
Mhm.
You see,
A lot of
so
person.
yeah,
there was
yeah,
a
a lot of
that.
behind the scenes and a
Right.
lot of Biden arm twisting, a lot of
Exactly.
Obama arm twisting. So you know all that push equal rights and all that junk that they talk about and let's work for it. Nah, it's politics as usual
Right.
in terms of that right there. So yeah. I and back to the main issue
So-
about your boy,
Well,
about your
that's
boy.
why going to
Trump.
our boy, the main issue,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons too why what's his name?
Vivek?
Christie. That's
Christie or Chris Christie.
Christie got pushed out as well because he was trying. And then
Right.
somebody said, no, you got to get out
You
now.
got to get out. They don't take a fat boy. Come on, let's tell the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah, they don't.
Let's tell the truth. You
He
ain't
not
taking no
president.
fat
Yeah, they ain't
boy.
taking no fat boy, no presidential look. He's loud. He's Jersey. He's
Right.
fat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and I'm telling you,
That's how it works.
you start with Barbie, you go to Ken, and then that tells you what the rest of America they want you to look like.
Mhm,
Okay,
that's
you
right.
got to have your convertible car and all that kind of stuff. And even though Trump may be a little rotund, he's smart enough to wear expensive suits, so they're tailored to fit him. He
Right.
always looks like he's fit.
It looks.
And,
Yeah.
and his orange face.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
Put
looks
on
fit.
orange
Yeah.
makeup. Yeah.
So,
got it.
so
Mhm.
I'm like Alton. I looked at the numbers and I said, the boy he ain't been on a debate. He ain't been out
Mm-mm.
campaigning. He just been out saying, I'm here, take me. Now,
Yeah.
I still don't believe he's gonna be there in November, but doing what he did this last time and the numbers he got, hey, that's just the way it floats in the politics, you know, the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same thing with Vivek. He failed to realize that
Vivek.
he
Oh my God.
that first of all, you're too damn young. You're only 38. You need some
Oh, wait a
some
minute.
seasoning.
You said, first of all, he's too damn young, but
I'm being nice.
first of all, he's
he-
too damn brown for
Wait,
those.
wait. Yeah, no, I'm getting there. I'm gonna
That's
warm it up.
first.
Let
You
it
go
warm up.
second of all with young, but first of all,
No, yeah,
and-
he's too
and
well, he's
Haley
too
is too
he's
brown.
too brown, but he also didn't that's the first thing I'll make it number one, but he didn't pay his dues because a couple of the brown candidates of his Indian persuasion
Mhm.
that Bobby Jindal put in his time. He paid his
Yeah.
dues. Say what you want about her, Nimrata Nikki.
Nimrata.
Yeah, that's what I've written.
Really?
Nimrata. Yeah,
But Nimrata thought she was gonna get second, but she didn't. And
Right.
what
But to my point, she paid her dues, two terms as governor, and so this young man,
she's still
I guess
too
it's
brown. She was
he's
still
too
too
young.
brown for those folks.
Yeah, she's too brown, but he didn't help himself by just coming out of nowhere,
Yeah.
just with a book and a few $1 million and thinking he can that he could be and chanting all that patriotic dribble
Yeah,
about our forefathers forefather's son, really?
He-
Look
Yeah,
at
but now
you.
his latest position was he put on a shirt that says "Save Trump, vote for Vivid," and by that he's
Mm.
saying that if Trump goes any further, the Illuminati and the secret shadow government is going to assassinate Trump. That's his
Okay.
That was
position, and he says I like Trump, but they're never going to let him resume where he left off. And so
Mm.
that was his shirt: "Save Trump, vote Vivid."
Mm.
Well,
Okay, and he,
to that point, well, then what Mr. Trump needs to do is choose a running mate that is such a strong man that people will say, if this man wins, we don't need his vice president to be president.
right, right.
That's the insurance policy. Trump's gonna need to recruit a near maniac to
Okay,
run
so
for vice
here's my
president.
conspiracy. Let me throw my conspiracy history on
I,
y'all.
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, anybody remember Governor George Wallace?
Yes.
He was a shoe-in, y'all.
Oh yeah. I think yeah, he would have won.
He was getting ready to be the Democratic candidate for president the year he ran.
72.
Yep, and out of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
came a crazy gunman.
Yeah.
Now, I see parallels between Governor of Alabama and President Trump. Now, that's all I'm saying to you, okay, to consider. Now, I have no proof. I'm not a part of them groups that would be planning that kind of stuff, but I'm saying he has all the makings because I know the Republicans don't want it. You can see it on their face.
Right. They don't want it.
They're not really pushing him at all. They're not really standing up and yelling like they were the first time around. They just kind of letting him go on his own. And he's out there like, forget y'all. I'm bad enough without y'all.
That's correct.
Mm.
And it doesn't take me very long to come figure out if the big boys don't like you and you got to go and work with the big boys, they'll find a way to pull the rug out from under you. So if something were to happen,
So
I go
far,
like, yeah, I told you.
so far, they haven't liked him the whole time, and they haven't been able to pull that rug from under him. Yes, kept
I'm just
free
saying. I'm just
control
saying. Yeah,
of the
he's
net.
like he's got Fonnie Willis on the rope right now. He got her
Yeah.
dancing around, going to churches, pleading her case that that yeah she was sleeping with this dude, but it wasn't that big of a deal, But it's gonna be enough to create a headache, and if he gets off here, then they got to go with another plan. Because I thought the plan was to get him boxed in here in Georgia,
Mm.
make a deal with him, and say, look, you either go to jail or you resign from trying to run from president. Now that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, the man is a diabolical genius, though. I hate to say it. He every no wonder everybody steers clear of him and gives him whatever he wants, because he will come for you. Period. If it's there somewhere, he's gonna find it. His people are gonna find it.
But they
So
got some, but he's got some, they got some big boys that can go head to head with his people though too. I mean, they might be a little afraid, but
a
they're not gonna
little
worry
afraid.
the
Come
end.
on,
Yeah,
come on now.
yeah,
Trump
they
has
might be a
gone
little
way too
afraid.
far for anybody to have anything to match what he's doing. I mean, he's got that base, and that's all he needs.
All
He's
right.
sure base.
If
And
you
the
believe
base,
one man,
that
if you
base,
believe one man one vote, I'll give it to you. But I'm still betting. I'm betting $1 right here on camera today. Betting $1 with you that he is not going to be on the November ballot.
Who, Trump?
Trump.
you
I
said,
don't believe he's
Yeah,
going to make it.
yeah, I don't,
wait,
I have a
wait.
20, I have a
Y'all said the
20%
man, y'all
feeling.
said the man wasn't gonna win. And you still you staying with that. He wasn't gonna win the nomination. Are you staying with that?
I'm saying he
I,
won't be on the November ballot.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
so
don't.
you're not
He
saying.
might. I believe that something will transpire between now and when the ballots are put out that are going to eliminate him from being on the ballot.
All right, so
but they've got to have in place a strategy, or at a minimum a tactic. Well, they got to take a strategic position that eliminating him politically, that the fallout will be contained. And
how
So
would
that's
they?
the strategic, right? The
Nikki Haley,
Because
y'all.
That's a
Nikki
good point.
Haley even couldn't say slavery because she didn't want the fallout to come down
Oh,
on her.
Nikki,
as a
I'm
as
just
a
saying, Nikki Haley would be the backup.
as a side note, the slavery thing.
Folks still think she's a Muslim, and those white folks, I don't know what y'all are talking about, but I will be playing this back to you later.
Play
Mona's
it.
trying
I'm
to-
just saying.
Yeah, Mona's trying to say
Yeah.
something. What?
No, I was gonna say, if he's not gonna be on the ballot, but Elton just answered it, who would be the backup? Because, he's gonna be on the ballot, in my opinion.
Me too.
They may give up this round. See, remember they played a long game. They may give up the round.
Right. So they're gonna let Biden win.
They need to give up the round.
Yeah, I was starting to give up that round, and going to
need to
Mona's
give up
point,
the
let
round.
Biden win. I think
Yeah.
that's what, because the long game, really the long game is let Biden win and watch the Democrats implode.
Right.
And then
Right.
you go for 2028, because right now the Democrats don't have any bench for 2028. Neither party really does, but the Democrats definitely don't have a bench. And given Biden's age, there's chaos if something, quote unquote, God forbid, happens to him. Who's going to replace him? Kamala?
Well,
That's gonna be
if she's vice president, yes, because that's how the country works.
well, you see, she's vice president now. She doesn't have to be vice president in January.
Thank you very much. So you keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, that there are the rules, and then there are the rules.
Yes.
The rule.
And I will not be surprised to see one of two scenarios. Kamala, middle of 2025, submits her resignation because she's forced out. Or worst case scenario, at the end of the year, Joe Biden submits his resignation. And we have her for president. But I think it will
Yeah.
be,
I
I
don't think that will
think it's gonna be the first one, because they don't want her incentivized or in any position to make a run for 2028. The Democrats have to start fresh. They gotta clean house all these old people that they've got. Then, they gotta replace Biden, and
Kamala's
they can't
not-
replace,
Kamala's
they
not
can't,
old.
who?
She's not acceptable though. So
She's
she's
She's not
not a part
acceptable.
of.
So when I
I
say
agree with
old, I'm talking,
that. I agree with that,
Yeah.
but definitely.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I'm not saying she's old. I'm
Okay.
saying that the Democratic Party overall has to get rid of all the other old heads. They gotta get rid of Clyburn. They gotta get rid of Biden. They gotta get rid of Pelosi's supposed to be retiring. He's supposed to retire a couple of years back. They gotta get rid of her. They gotta get rid
Isn't
of
she
Steny
90?
Hoyer.
Isn't Pelosi about 90, 95 or something like that?
No, she's pushing 90. She's pushing
Okay,
90.
she's pushing 90. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
so Trump is gonna take New Hampshire, or will it be Haley?
Trump will take New Hampshire.
Trump. Haley's gonna take South Carolina, North Carolina.
Oh, Haley's not gonna take South Carolina.
She'll
What?
take her. She'll
Her
take her.
home area?
Not taking.
Yes.
They're gonna go to Trump, but she might take North Carolina.
Those evangelicals, and I'm gonna call them that, are
Okay.
not going to vote for her. He is not. He is going to
But
take.
she'll come into a close second in those. Once she gets down south.
But I think she'll take New Hampshire because independent. I mean, that's Bernie state. Come on, those folks are going to vote for her.
No,
Here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They want to be the first one to say they had a female president. Remember, they
Mhm.
stopped the other young lady, Clinton. They stopped her. And here's the best opportunity to go in the record books as the first female, and the Republicans did it. They will draw some female support just because there's a female person. How about that?
Yeah, but I don't
position?
think this is the female that they want. I really think she's too brown for them. And
Yeah.
brown, and her religion would be questionable, even though she might say she's Christian. They still won't believe it. So I believe the evangelicals are going for Trump, in every last one of those states, except New Hampshire, because it's a independent kind of state.
Mm.
And whatever Democrats are there will also go in, and even, I mean, even in Iowa, they were changing their party affiliations to vote for her. So I think that's going to happen full-fledged in New Hampshire, but that's the only place that
Mm.
she's going to make a dent. And South Carolina, and from there, just like you said, Iowa is the bellwether. It's Trump all the way to the nomination.
Okay, so he gets the nomination. Now, nobody's gonna run against Biden. Everybody has decided to back down off of him.
That's
So now
correct.
what?
Yeah.
So now what?
So
How
you
is
got
he
Biden
gonna
versus-
overcome? Okay, let me give you two things he's got to overcome. 60 Minutes did a story yesterday about all the big towers in New York City now that are empty because people have now started to do remote working. The
Right.
businesses
Right.
can't afford the rent. They're calling it the urban doom because the buildings are now being vacant and they're about to drag the economy down.
Yeah.
The interest rate continues to rise. Okay. Those two things are financial that he's got to deal with. And then he has the nerve to go spend 14 billion to help drop bombs.
Mm.
And the world is now thinking about suing America for being an accessory to
Mm.
genocide.
Okay.
If you add those three things together, how can he beat a guy who has broken the code on being popular no matter what he does? I
Mhm.
mean,
Mm-mm.
he is the first guy you ever heard say, I can go kill somebody down on Fifth Avenue in broad daylight and I will still get elected.
Yeah.
Okay? They will
And
never
it's true.
touch me. You hear me?
Mhm.
And actually came through. So how can Biden overcome those three obstacles he's got?
People,
Interest
yeah,
and all
interest
that other
rate,
stuff.
yeah, people have to stop. Yeah, people are gonna have to stop watching MSNBC for one,
Yeah. But they
because you
not.
know but they're not, because you know that network keeps for him so hard. They would keep that perspective away from people.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
Jeanette, for you the one quiet. How is he gonna overcome no businesses, all the big cities, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, not Atlanta, they didn't name them, but Chicago, Dallas, New York City.
but we do have 32% vacancies in these commercial buildings.
Oh,
So
that's
if
even yeah. See,
Yeah.
so how
I
does he
think it's the
overcome
same
that?
thing.
Because that is what's going to create. If
It's
you got no jobs, no work, no money, these business, commercial real estate people are going under during this time. How is he going to overcome that?
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's the same thing, and I said this when I met with Lynn Gray today, and she was talking about the fact that the district absolutely has no money and hasn't for a while. And with all of these children opting out and being homeschooled, and the money follows them, going to these private schools, what have you, it's
Mm.
really hemorrhaging. The district is hemorrhaging. And I said, well, it looks like you are going to have, because they're closing schools, and that's my issue with them, and that's why I'm having these conversations. But I'm saying you're going to have to rethink these buildings, which they are, because they're calling them repurposing them. But when you do that, you're going to have to consider the people who can't or don't want to be in a private school or be homeschooled or what have you. They are going to need, maybe you're going to have to make them centers of excellence. But with regard to these buildings that also have people finding alternative work arrangements, you're going to have to turn those buildings into something else.
Mm.
I don't know if these are works, what do they call them? Co-working spaces. I don't know if they are now apartment or condominiums or co-ops. They are something other than what they were, because this change or this shift that we're seeing is permanent. It is
Yes.
the way that things are going, and we are no longer reporting 9 to 5 or sending our children off to school in these buildings as was before. It is time to rethink it. Biden and everyone else who are saying, oh, the buildings are empty. Well, that's right. So what are you going to do? Because
Well, yeah,
you can't do
and,
what we're doing.
and he
But that
can't
didn't
put,
answer our
and
question though about Biden. You still haven't answered that question. How is he going to overcome it? Because he's not going to be able to repurpose anything. That bombing is
But
going to continue. That
but how,
rate is still going to continue, and those
Bombing.
buildings are still
I have
going
an
to
issue.
stay vacant.
Yeah,
but
I have,
how would, but
I
how
have an
would
issue with Biden and the bombing. You know, I have an issue with the billions that we're spending and all of that as well. So I don't have an answer for you because that is one where I'm like, yeah, we really we know too much today. We have access to too much information, and it makes it difficult for the Bidens and the leaders of the world to make a move because everything's in real time. And if you want to, you can access that information anywhere. So I don't know how they overcome that because they've always been doing this mess. We just didn't get to know about it.
But the question is, how would Trump overcome it? Because Jeanette, you just said it. I was looking at Amazon, a documentary on them, and they are demanding that people come back to the office. Well, that's not going to happen.
That's
So
right.
it doesn't matter who's in office. That's going to be a problem, and they will refocus those buildings, as you said, as condominiums, as workspace, collaborative, but not for one individual office space.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen unless they're getting ready to fire everybody.
Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, this is January 2024. The elections will be in November.
Right.
So this idea that you have has to take place either super duper fast
It doesn't have
or it's
wait.
going to happen after Trump gets in.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to take place. It has to become a part of the conversation or the discussion. It has to be because to me, everything is built on narratives, and that's what Trump has become very good about in terms of putting out what he's going to do. And then doing it with a little bit of a chuckle so that people think, well, is he joking or is he whatever? But it becomes a part of the lexicon, and all of a sudden you turn to 5 different stations and everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So Biden has to get good at that and recognize that these buildings are going empty and what have, and what's the discussion around that? What is the discussion? Whether he
I don't think
or not, we need to start talking. Go ahead.
I think when it comes to his I mean overall, if we just expand to, when it comes to his economic plan, he has no follow-up to what he did with the Inflation Reduction Act and whatever other initiatives. He hasn't it's too late for him to speak up to play up any other economic initiative. A typical economic initiative takes about 18 months to show anything. And he can't promote anything now. The only thing he can talk up is his Inflation Reduction Act. And then if someone were to challenge him on, well, you got all these empty buildings in these large cities, he's gonna have to tie his legislative initiatives into that problem, which I see him not being able to do, because it's really going to be left up to the employers and how persuasive they are on the employees. In other words, you got Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan Chase. Y'all need to get into the office 5 days a week, no more hybrid. Will they listen to him, or will they go say, well, I'll find another job with somebody else?
That's it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. The flexibility is here to stay. People can go on vacation in Dubai and log in and
Right.
work. So,
but I'll fire you if you do that.
huh?
But I'll fire you if you do that, because no employee is that indispensable.
And that's fine. You can do that. You can do that because today, back in my day, you wanted that cradle to grave job. But today, those young people don't care.
Because they're young. They will in a few months.
When they're out of a job and they got a house note and all that. Plus,
But-
now,
but-
and I'm gonna
They're
throw
not
one
gonna
more
sell,
piece.
they're not gonna saddle themselves with that kind of debt that we were willing to do that. I truly, as I look at and research where things are going, I feel like those things that were important to us will not be important to the young.
Well, let me explain something to you. One bedroom in New York City, my daughter's paying $2,500 a month.
Mhm.
Now, I'm watching Connie Burton. She's always sending the information. Y'all paying the same kind of money down there in Tampa
Yeah.
for different kinds of apartments. She's putting out the
2,500.
the houses over there where I used to live. Where I used to live, they're going for $300,000 and $400,000. That's almost triple what I paid when I lived there.
Yes.
And
Mm.
she's saying every day, she said, look at this bedroom apartment over here. It's $1,900, $2,000 a month for one bedroom in Tampa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of numbers to deal with. You talking about the young folk ain't getting saddled with debt. They're still having to live in these places unless they can go back home.
Yeah.
You know,
And a lot of them are going back home.
A lot of them are not interested in leaving their parents' home for one thing,
Right.
until much later in life, not like us. But let me ask you guys this: is it the president's job to do something with the buildings if they're privately owned, or are y'all talking about government buildings?
I'm talking about private buildings, and I'm
Oh,
talking about the fact
it's
that
not the president's job to make sure that those buildings are occupied.
Right.
It's those owners have to say, and they're gonna be able to find. They're always going to be able to find somebody to work in those buildings. Might not be the quality of people they want. They're going to have to train them
Mhm,
and
mhm.
things like that. But yeah, people are switching jobs. I have a customer.
I
Well, my
think,
daughter, since
yeah,
she got out of school, she's had 3 different jobs. She doesn't like it, and I'm like, look at here, you can't
they
quit
walk
another
away
job. You
now for nickel more.
absolutely, every time it's a little bit more money offered, but those jobs been going out. Every
So-
job that's why. So you stay at a company and you work there for 5 years at least, get some experience.
I'd say at least 5 years, but I think
No,
5 years.
that's old school. You
Yeah, I was
all
gonna
both
say,
y'all
I think
showing your
5 years
age.
is too
Yeah.
long. for
This
them.
is you
5
talking.
years is too
We talk,
long.
we
It's,
talking
it's
about
18 months these
6
days.
months on my wife's job. 6 months. The lady she hired
Oh
came
my
to her and
God.
said, when am I gonna get my promotion? And she said, what do you
Yes,
mean? She said, I've been here
yes,
for 6 months.
6
yes.
months.
Where is
Well,
my promotion? So
my,
and
my
then
baby,
and then the lady's gone now because after about 8, 9, 10 months, she didn't get a
For
promotion. So her
promotion.
answer was, sayonara, I gotta go.
Yeah. They're
You
not
see,
staying.
so those are the kind. And by the way, who's financing? Whose responsibility for those buildings? A lot of times it's the government that's giving away bonds that are
yes,
going to support those buildings. It's just
yes.
like most of the NFL stadiums, most of the basketball arenas that are being built, they ain't paying taxes for that like they should. They worked out some kind of deal with the city or the state or a higher entity where all of that is deferred to somebody else. So
Mm,
yeah, that's how it gets to be Biden's job, because if you don't fund them and those guys are now starting to default on the loans, now the banks can't keep up because a majority of their money will be in commercial real estate.
mhm.
You see, that's where you're gonna have another one of those. It's gonna be too big to fail. What is it,
Yeah.
2008?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But to Mona's point, yeah, I mean, yeah, I
Zillow
agree.
came
It's
in
not,
high.
it's not Biden's responsibility from the management of those buildings. In other words, yeah, the owners or the employers supposed to get you back in, but he may be saddled with proposals that he enter the bond markets to raise money to then turn around and subsidize those building owners. Because I could see Jamie Dimon saying, "Yo, Joe, I'm a Jewish boy Democrat from Long Island, and I've been voting Democrat forever, and I'm the world's greatest banker. You need to tell Janet Yellen to issue some bonds,
And that's how they
and
do
it's
it.
going to be at a higher interest rate.
And that's how they do
So,
it.
Yeah.
talking to our kids are going to be paying more rent. They may not be buying. I don't see my son buying anything. He's gonna be paying more rent.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I think
Because
that's
because
true.
of the potential of that kind of pressure, the potential. I don't know how, if it will come to fruition. I don't know. But
Yeah.
given that, I mean, we got again 32% vacancy rate in commercial real estate.
Mhm.
That trickles down. I can only imagine what kind of hurt some of these homeowners are going through too. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not being spoken of yet, because in a democratic city, you can't let that kind of narrative get out.
Well, I could give you an example for
It's New York
I have
City.
I have a small plaza, and I could tell you from the last 4 years, from 2019 to my last property appraisal, has almost tripled.
Mm.
To
And
own it or the ability to sell it or what?
no, the property tax.
Okay, oh, the property taxes, yeah, that's going out the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
I have to go in well, for the last two times, I had to request a hearing to bring it down. Now they did bring it down both times, and I got to do it. I'm like, look, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to pay this kind of money. This is ridiculous. And they're saying the city need the money. Yeah, well, I don't want to pay it. I want
Right,
to pay my
right.
fair share.
And I don't think you should.
I want to pay my fair share, but we know that I shouldn't be paying this kind of money.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because when I did it the first time and they reversed it, they kind of like didn't want me to say anything. And I was like, yeah, I'm telling everybody who own property in
Of
East
course they
I
don't
Tampa.
want
know that's right.
anything.
This is because this is ridiculous. You people are gonna you're gonna force us
Exactly.
out. They're
Well, I
gonna
mean, isn't that the plan for East Tampa? Isn't that the new, isn't that the new South Tampa? East Tampa now took over, they
Oh,
calling it, they
oh,
did.
wow.
That's what, hey, when I was leaving, when we sold our house out in the middle of East Tampa, the thing they said was, this is getting ready to be the new South Tampa.
Yes.
Mm.
They call it Seminole Heights now. They taking away
True.
that
This
area there. It's
weekend,
Seminole Heights now.
three days out of the week, I go over and I walk, run, and exercise in East Tampa. And so my sister, who has this beautiful home right out there, she pointed out the houses as we were getting back to her house. She says, and that's a white person, and that's a white person, and those are white people over there, and those
Mhm.
white people. And I said, you got to be kidding me. This is
No,
in the heart of the hood, 30th
no.
and
No.
22nd.
Same thing here in
Part of
Atlanta.
the hood. And she said, and all of my neighbors are now becoming white.
Hey, I was at ML King in Nebraska, y'all. I was
Mhm.
one block off of ML King and Nebraska. You go
Okay,
you go
I know
down
where
there,
that
you
is.
go down there and just take a right on Genesee, or you take a left on Genesee, and ain't nothing down there now that look like you,
Yeah.
Mm.
except for maybe one or two people that held on to what they had. They either owned it, but the rest, everybody else, it's a
Yeah.
whole changed new neighborhood. That's, like I said, that's the new Soho, as they called it.
Yes.
So, that's
So
what they're trying to play it at.
you look at my mom's neighborhood, Northview Hills, all black growing up, okay? And so coming into my mom's house, Jeanette, you know where that's at, not the one that's to her right, but the next one. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom, and they listed it for $380,000.
See, that's what Connie Burton is putting out,
And my
boy. She
parents,
telling on y'all.
paid $50,000 for these houses. $380,000.
Mm.
Now that's in the city. And like my house, my neighbor sold their house behind me, and they sold it for 550,000. That's probably 1,300 square feet.
1,300 square feet.
For
That's it.
380, I have 2,700 square feet for 500. But I live in the county. I live in Pasco as well.
So,
Okay.
so you know the house, the orange house that I was living in on Francis, sold,
Mhm.
bought it for like 250K, sold for 630.
That's
Well,
crazy.
you making our point. That's what he's gonna have to fight.
Yeah.
Here's the let me throw one more piece on there. I was waiting. I thought maybe one of y'all would bring it up, but since you didn't.
Yeah, and
Biden
this is
keeps
our last,
disappearing.
we're gonna be wrapping it.
Wrapping up. Okay. Biden keeps disappearing in the public these days, and I'm saying he's starting to look a lot like President Reagan when Reagan was starting to have his problems and they were trying to hide him from the public.
Mm,
Okay, so don't be surprised if that doesn't show up. Because you know, Reagan, the last 4 years, he had dementia.
yeah.
Yeah, his,
I
his
know.
wife was running it.
Yes, yes, yeah. As she was consulting a spiritual
Yes.
advisor,
The stars, the
yeah, the
horoscope,
stars
zodiac,
lady.
yeah.
Yeah, she was doing that. But Biden is starting to look the same way to me. I'm telling you, history tends to repeat itself because these guys are doing the same old things over and over again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I
Well,
could tell because my mom has dementia, and when he was at the church, for Martin Luther King, you could see that blank look in his eye
That's
every
the
now and
part
then.
I'm talking about. That
I
there.
could see it. I could tell, I was like, oh wow.
Mm.
Mhm. Forget
Once you
this.
have seen
I
it,
think
once you
y'all
had
are,
a family member
I
go,
think y'all
once
are,
you had a family member go through it, I'm just saying it starts to, and I've had a couple of close friends go through that, and
Yeah.
and his eyes are starting to, as
Yes.
Mona said, his
It
eyes
just
are
goes in the
starting to
back of your
look.
head. Yeah, it just goes in the back of your head and it just stares. They're
Jamie,
blank out of it
yeah,
real quick. But Jeanette, they made a mistake. And they made a mistake. And we can still correct it. They need to just find somebody else.
you're not gonna find anybody else.
Oh,
Nobody.
well,
So, you know what
Y'all got
I'm gonna
nobody.
y'all
say,
got not, y'all got,
what
I
I'm
even
gonna say,
had to text my son and ask him, son, I'm gonna vote Democrat, but you gotta give me somebody else
Gotta
but
give me
Biden.
somebody, yeah,
Give me
yeah. Because
somebody.
right now, I'm still a
uh,
Cornell West man,
mm,
and
Yes.
in second place
all
would be
right.
Marion
Trump if he
Williamson.
come out and lie.
So as a Democrat, and I'm not just gonna say, I'm not saying vote blue no matter who, but what I am saying is the two parties, one of them aligns more with my values than the other. And there is no way that I'm going to try to compete with the MAGA for the attention that not Biden, but Trump is going to give them. I'd rather fight on this side of that. So for my advice to Black folk, um, it needs to be, we need to help the Republicans clean up their act. So it needs to be Democrat. It needs to be
How
Democrat.
does Democrat help clean
Help
up the
them clean-
Republicans Act?
Yeah, I know. Eventually, it's gonna
Where's the logic there?
it's gonna
They
embolden
need,
what they
like you
do.
said earlier, they need to sort of give up this cycle and let the Democrats have it because they need time to go and
No, that's not why they're gonna. That's not why they're gonna. That's not why they're gonna sit this one out. They're
That's
gonna.
right.
They sitting it out because they know the Democrats are gonna screw up. They don't want to
That's
happen.
right.
It's like you say, y'all can have this one. You know, Jimmy, you want to play with your peas? Go right ahead.
But
whatever,
by
whatever
the
it is
time
whatever it
the
is they
Democrats
think,
realize,
whatever it is they think they know, okay.
They
sit
don't know
this one
nothing. I
out.
don't get that. They're
Then
not that
just sit
smart.
this one out. Mona, I'm gonna let you have the last word.
Well, I'm not going to say that the Democratic Party aligns with my values as it stands today. Now, have came to the conclusion that I'm more than likely going to vote Democrat because I know that the right with what they're doing here in Florida and the laws that it would be more detrimental to us as a whole and to our children and their children if we put a Republican in office. And
Agreed.
that's the only reason. It's not that I feel like because I will say now after 40 years of me voting myself and realizing, and I was one of those who just went along to get along. I've been self-employed. Things have worked out, fairly okay for me. But I know now as a whole, it has not worked for the Black race. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with
It hasn't,
it.
but
And last year I didn't vote for the last president election.
I
I
know.
didn't vote. I didn't vote at all, but I know the importance of it this time. So I will be voting, for the other devil because he's a devil. He knows. And this man, to me, I believe, has done more to Blacks than Trump. From that crime bill to Israel, the more and more I'm finding out about him.
Well, Trump,
Is-
Trump, yeah, I get it on the crime bill.
And the bankruptcy bill.
I get it on white people enslaving us and all of these things they have done to us, including Biden and the crime bill. But all the stuff that have been done to Black folk, whether they've been Republican or Democrat or conservative or radical or liberal, those things have happened in our past. The issue is, and it gets us back to MLK Day, what are we going to do?
Yes.
How do we decide what our destiny will be instead of waiting for Biden or any one of these white folks to decide where we should go? So I agree
That's
with you.
That's
It's
what I wanted to
Democrat,
hear.
It's Democrat.
She's still
But
gonna vote
it's not-
Democrat.
Well,
Well,
listen
well,
up
the
though,
fact-
listen up though. I'm not gonna vote those third party because they really they really don't factor in. If after this vote, some third party wants to say, okay, we're gonna form a third party right after this election, you do it then. You don't do it when it's
Well, you see,
when
All to
I was, yeah,
see
Jeanette,
him.
I was rolling. I'm still rolling with you, but I was rolling without my foot on the brake up until the part where you see gonna go Democrat.
Right.
Only reason I want the Democrats to win is because I'll finally get rid of them by 2032. I'll be honest with you, because they are set to implode. So I think if the Republicans are too
Tell 'em that
dumb
the
to do this,
Republicans are
but they
imploding
need
right
to
now.
they need to sit it out and let the Democrats implode. Their tent is too big. They're dysfunctional. They don't have a bench. They are out of touch with. They are out of touch with. Republicans
Alton,
are
you
out
are
of touch too. But
describing the Republican Party.
wait, let me
right now.
finish. I
Right
just
now.
said the Republicans are out of touch. But I dismissed them.
No, no,
The
no.
Democrats are way out of
Close it.
touch.
Use that
No,
word.
they're
Close
both
it.
out of touch. So I'm ready to get either the Democrats implode or the shell is left, but their leadership and all their little minions in the Big Tent go away. I want a Democratic Party that is pre-1976. If I got to put up with them, that's the Democratic Party I want. Not this one. It has nothing. This party is a bunch of condescending, patronizing, tree-hugging, trust fund baby, alphabet-sucking bastards. I don't like them.
Yo, mama.
All right,
I
guys.
don't like
Hey.
them. They need to go.
Well,
So
All right.
so that is why I'm voting for him, because he'll speed it up.
All right, everybody. There's a lot of passion here. Now, this
Jeanette,
time,
let me say this.
Mona has the
Mona
last
has the
word.
last
Okay,
word.
okay, the last word,
Close
Mona.
us
We're not
out.
gonna say another word afterwards. I'm cutting it
Close
off
us
after
out,
that.
The only way I can see hope for the Democratic Party is we have to get rid of our gatekeepers, our Black gatekeepers. That is the only way. We have to have, as you say, we could direct the Democratic Party, but our leaders, we have to get rid of them.
You gotta get rid of them. I agree.
Okay.
We
All
got-
right.
and I believe that's the
I
only way.
agree. I agree with you. So you had the last word, the
Good
gate
night.
to go, but it gets back to Black folks, you're not organizing. You are still waiting on other people to solve your problems. And that is the issue. I don't care if it's Democrat or Republicans. We are too often waiting for others to solve our problems. That's on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, they become the Black Republicans are waiting for sugar daddies, Clarence Thomas, Tim Scott. I can go on and on and on. They're waiting for that short line so that somebody will take care of them, and that is what's going on the Republican side. So Black people, get it together.
Jeanette,
you
I
think?
want you to think about this. We're through, and I'm gonna end on Mona, but I'm saying to you, you keep saying we are waiting on somebody else. We
Yeah.
got two things in front of us to do, to vote, and we got to choose between one of them. And so we ain't necessarily waiting on them to do anything. We just you only gave us two choices. You dismissed the real deal guy over here.
You need to choose
So
yourselves.
you dismissed him. So now we only got two choices. So since we got to do that, instead of telling us we messing up by focusing on them coming to save us, I don't think anybody thinks that. I think you need to answer why we should vote for one or the other. Cause that's all it is a vote right there. One man, one vote, cause we ain't got enough money to make it happen.
It's why we should vote for one or the other, but we have to come with something behind that vote. And right now, we're
We don't have
so
$1 billion.
scattered.
That's what it takes, $1 billion to get somebody listening to you.
Doesn't take $1 billion because MAGA didn't have $1 billion.
Who?
MAGA
Who?
didn't have $1 billion.
Shoot.
MAGA had a, okay, you didn't see the cash flowing. But
MAGA
what
had a
they-
movement, all right?
Right, and all movements are financed, whether it took $1 billion or $500,000, I don't know. But what's more important is that they had a
Black Lives
grounding.
Matter got financed. The issue is, if a movement starts, somebody's gonna look around and try to take advantage of that and get it and finance it. We don't even have a movement that started to begin wagging the dog. They did. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we got a
we
movement right here.
But we
Why
can't
don't-
have a
We got a
We
movement
can't-
right here.
we can't have a movement like, because even Black Lives Matter, look how it got co-op. Once you get financed by
You get
them, you know, it
By
goes
them. Hold up, that's the key word. Say it again,
Yes,
by them.
By
by
them.
them. Now we
Yeah.
can have a movement, but
But
we
it-
simply can't take their money.
Is that a black thing or is that a white thing? Because if MAGA is being financed, they're so effective that this man is making it his way back into the presidency.
Mhm.
And a lot of folks do not want that to happen.
Hamas
Right.
was financed by
Kill him off
Israel.
At some point.
Hamas was financed by Israel, and Black Lives Matter was financed by somebody white as well,
Yeah.
trying to create some kind of problem, and they did it. And I'm saying to you, you got to come with some more than what you come in with.
Well, I'm gonna say the last thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm going, because I got other things I gotta do before I go to sleep. But Black folk need to come together and make and decide on who to vote for. And I'm saying it's the Democrat. It is not the Republican, and it's not some third party.
When are
need-
you gonna have my friend on? The one
need
who
to get
says buy a candidate. When you gonna have him on? That's what you need.
All right,
Have
there's
him
two
and let him
people
come
I
talk
need to
you.
have on because I want to have Joe on, Mona.
Joe who? Robinson?
No. Oh, let me stop taping.
But we don't really have to tell
Stop
the
taping,
black
'cause I don't need Joe coming after me.
we don't
Shoot.
need we don't really need to have to tell the black people to vote for the Democratic Party, because they are.